everyone. Today, my husband and I would like to talk to you about ways to keep your liver healthy. And when you have a struggling liver and you have different conditions in your body that need help, we need the help of the liver. So we need to know how to cleanse the liver, how to get the poisons out of the liver. The liver is the largest filtering organ that we have. And without the help of the liver, we can't get well. A lot of times when I have clients that they call and they say, well, my detox has come to a standstill. I'm not getting anywhere. Typically, if we talk about it, we find out that the work that they need to do on the liver has not been done, which means basically that people are a little afraid to do the liver cleansing because they're not familiar with it. Doing liver flushing is something that people are not really familiar with. And so today, EJ and I want to talk to you about our own testimonial and to show you how to cleanse the liver on a daily basis, but also how to do a large emergency liver flush. The emergency liver flush would be something that you would use when you know that you're in trouble, you have gallbladder pain, you need to flush out some stones out of your gallbladder and your liver. And so you want to use the liver flush, the large liver flush, the emergency liver flush for that one. And we will have the directions below whenever you're finished. Okay, but also there is a daily liver flush that you can do. It doesn't taste very good, but there's a lot of different versions. This is the one that I use. You would use 1 clove, day one, use 1 clove of garlic to the juice from 1 lemon and 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. That's all there is to it. In some water, about 8 ounces of water. Some people use juice. I always figure that anytime you're going to juice up garlic, you're going to ruin whatever you're drinking. So I just use water. If you want to use something that might camouflage the taste a little bit, garlic takes some getting used to, but it's very powerful for cleansing. So you would want to use 1 of each of those the first day. The second day, you do the lemon again. The lemon is very astringent. It's very powerful for not only melting down the stones in the liver, but it also helps to melt down the stones in the kidneys. It's good for urinary tract infections. So lemons are a very good thing. It's also good to help populate the stomach with hydrochloric acid. And we can talk about the hydrochloric acid another time. Another thing, since we're talking about this, I just want to deviate a little bit. When people have digestive issues, they might be able to actually for a while get well from these digestive issues, but if they've never addressed the liver, they haven't cleaned out the liver, they've had their gallbladder removed, all of these things, but they never addressed cleansing the liver, well then eventually they'll get those digestive issues back again. And the secret is to getting your liver well so that your digestion will be well. Healing the digestion is very, very vital to in order to heal the digestion permanently, we have to eat right, but also cleanse the liver.
I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is. Your liver and your gallbladder produce bile. And when you eat, the bile is released into your stomach to help digest. Well, if you have stones or other things in the way of the bile being released from your gallbladder, that would be why you would have some of your digestion issues.
Exactly, and also bile is very alkaline. So it actually neutralizes some of the stomach acid. When you combine the bile with the hydrochloric acid, it's very powerful in helping you digest your food. So that's another reason why this is another way that we can understand how people are not able to digest their hydrochloric acid, so they start taking Tums. And that's a whole subject all by itself, but we need the hydrochloric acid because the hydrochloric acid provides a barrier between viruses and other diseases. We need that. It kills those viruses in the stomach. So just killing off our hydrochloric acid is not, or absorbing it with Tums or shutting down pump inhibitors that shut down the pumps that produce the hydrochloric acid. That is not the way to go because God gave us that hydrochloric acid for a reason. Okay,
so just having our liver out of balance can contribute to a lot of other factors as well.
That's right. And of course, any other diseases that we have, if you're combating cancer, heart disease, and also a diabetes, you want to make sure that your liver is functioning at full capacity. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit before we get more into what people can do to do some liver flushing and liver cleansing, two different things. But before we get more into detail about that, let's just talk about what things people need to avoid. The number one would be high fructose corn syrup. That one is probably the most detrimental sugar out there, or fake sugar. So avoiding sugar in general would be good, but also high fructose corn syrup would have to be at the top of the list. I mean, it's in so many things, and it's also in the salad dressings. That to me, it's just like you're going to the work of having a good healthy salad, but then you don't have anything real. And realistically, you go to the store to try to find some good salad dressing, and it's almost impossible. You almost have to always make your own unless you're getting it from a health food store, because high fructose corn syrup is practically in all of them. And even if it's not, there's other dangers also in the salad dressings. So be very careful about your high fructose corn syrup.
So you say to avoid sugars, is that just all refined sugars, or is that also fruit sugars as well?
The top of the list is going to be the high fructose corn syrup. Of course, we know that all sugars contribute to a lower immune system. There's a new thing on that danger that has come out in the last few years, and that's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Young kids are getting that nowadays. Children who are 12, 15 are having to get liver transplants, but they're drinking a lot of soda pop, a lot of these things that has the high fructose corn syrup in it. Okay, so the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, 80% of it could be healed if people would just eliminate the high fructose corn syrup, all the sugars and starches, and of course the simple carbs. We have a lot of people are really promoting the ketogenic diet, which is high fat and high protein. However, we have something in carbs. Not all carbs are treated alike. We want to do not the simple carbs, but we want the complex carbs. Vegetable oils is very detrimental. Vegetable oils that people cook with, if you're going to use an oil to cook with, there's ways to cook without vegetable oil. But I would recommend the number one would be to give up corn oil and also canola oil. You want to get rid of both of those. I'm not going to say it's okay for the coconut oil, but I think that it's the lesser. Still, bringing the vegetables down to practically zero would be the ideal thing. We all love vegetable oils. I love coconut oil. I love to cook with coconut oil, but I understand that that's too much fat and just way too much in my system. So I try to do more stews and things like that you will not be using the oils. Okay, so there's different things that we can do to eliminate the fatty liver, and that would be bring up your essential fatty acids, and things like flaxseed oil would be very important, flax seeds. Also, vitamin D is very important. Also, another one is berberine. Berberine is very important too. You can get that in barberry, the herb barberry. Another one that's very powerful for the liver, just strengthening the liver, is milk thistle. A person who's done a lot of abuse their liver in their lifetime, they might just use a lot of milk thistle. It's one of those herbs that you can do a lot of it and still not have any bad effects. And it's very restorative to the liver, and that's what you want. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can do some flushing. Now, when I was ill, I was very ill. I had a lump in my breast. I was so sick. I had a heart arrhythmia that I kept having to go to the hospital for. And I had other symptoms that were lower on my radar. But those were the two that I was really struggling with. And so I got on a cleanse, and I started cleansing, doing an emergency liver flush every other week. Which you only do it. It's only an overnight thing, and it flushes your liver. My husband, I was able to talk him into doing it with me. And so we did the liver flushing together.
Well, I was having some issues too. I was having referred pain from my liver up into my shoulder. It was giving me a stiff neck, and I couldn't look around and over my shoulder like I needed to.
That's right. So we started doing the liver flushing together. We would do it every other Friday night, and by the next morning, your liver flush is basically over with. So I'm going to post the liver flushing recipe below, but I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview. But now we've already gone through a little bit of the small daily flush that you can do, which I think is very important if you're detoxing. And that would be, again, the juice from 1 lemon, also 1 clove of garlic, and then 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil in 1 cup of water, and blend it up, and then drink it down. You'll probably have to plug your nose. It's not the most pleasant drink in all the world, but it is very important, and that really stimulates the liver, and the garlic kills off parasites. Okay, so then the second day, you want to bring the cloves of garlic up to 2. Keep the lemon at 1. Put the olive oil at 2 again. So the garlic and the olive oil go up by 1 every day for 5 days. So that by the 5th day, you're doing 5 cloves of garlic and 5 tablespoons of olive oil. The rest stays the same. The water and the lemon stays the same.
In 1 cup of water each time?
Yes, in
so
1 cup of water.
So the concentration gets stronger and stronger?
It does.
Okay.
It does. So that would be the daily liver flush. And you might want to do that every other week. Instead of doing it every week, do it every other week. And then your emergency liver flush, which we're going to show you that now, you would do that you would do that 1 overnight every other week. I hope that's not confusing, but it's very important. Okay, so a lot of times you'll go online and you'll see that people are posting that, it's dangerous to do a liver flush. But liver flushing has been around with our ancestors for many, many years. This is something that they learned because they didn't have the ability to go and get their gallbladder cut out so easily. So they did the liver flushing, and they did it with olive oil. And that's what we are going to do, is we're going to flush it out with olive oil. The olive oil goes into the liver and makes a huge push, and it pushes out stones that are laying in there. And by the time, one of the things that Dr. Hulda Clark said in one of her books is that by the time we have by the time we have liver pain, that we have anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 stones in our liver and our gallbladder.
Now that might seem pretty extreme, but when you start passing stones, some of your stones are going to be as large as a clove of garlic, but the majority of the stones are going to be the size of a pea, or even smaller, to the size of a grain of rice. And so that's what she's including as far as having that many stones.
Exactly. And also, they are different consistencies. Some of them are little bitty hard black things, and but then a lot of them are different. It's like a congealed olive oil that they'll melt down. Other ones that my husband passed, they were calcified. They will not melt down. So it's a combination. Now, if you were to take some rocks in a glass jar and you were to swish the jar around, what's going to go to the bottom is going to be the bigger stones, is going to be more into the heart of the stone of the jar. And so when you start doing the flushing, what you're going to pass typically in the beginning is going to be the smaller stones. Only as you go through the course of a 6-month periodic cleansing, then you're going to start passing some of the bigger ones. But by then, you should be more equipped to being able to pass the stones. Now, what happens is when you do a flush, you're not going to be able to clean all the stones out of your liver. When you do a flush, only the stones in the front part are going to be pushed out. Because remember, your stone is just like if you have marbles in a hose and you turn on the water, it's not very easy to get all of the water out because all those marbles are in the way. It's the same way with the liver. It's chocked full of stones and sludge and little stones and big stones. And so therefore, it's very hard for it to actually work. And so when you give it the olive oil and all that fat, it pushes. But sometimes it takes a little time to get some room for it to start doing its work. So you want to keep on doing it every other Saturday night, Friday night, or whichever night you choose, every other one. So you'll do it once every 2 weeks. So then after you remove those stones, and the stones from the back part of the liver move forward, and then all of a sudden you understand that you're ready for another liver flush. Now, here's one way you can tell if the pain that is in your neck and in your upper shoulders and also behind and in the front, you can tell if it's actually coming from your liver. There's a way you can do it. And we tried this out multiple times. My husband always had that referred pain, always had a stiff neck there. He couldn't turn his neck. He turned his neck with his shoulders. So there's a way you can tell every single time you do the Epsom salts, which we haven't really told you the recipe yet. But every time you do the Epsom salts, it relaxes the bile ducts. And when that happens, then all that pain goes away temporarily. So if your liver is cleaned out and your gallbladder is cleaned out, then you will not have that pain. And so you do the Epsom salts and it will go away. The pain will go away for just a day, maybe two. And then all of a sudden those stones are back in there, taking the place of the ones you just removed. Okay? So how big are some of the stones that you passed over the course of 6 months?
Well, like I said, many of them, not a bunch, but many of them were the size of
The garlic and even bigger.
the size of, well, that's
Probably about as
the
big.
size of my thumb, into my thumb. Yeah.
Did you feel better after doing a flush?
Very much so. And even when I would pass a large stone like that, no pain. There was no pain associated with it.
Matter of fact, you like olive oil so much today that you just drink a half a cup every
Well, no. Did so much liver flushing, there's portions of it that...
that you don't really relish going back to.
yeah.
But that's okay. Every now and then we'll feel like we need to do a refresher, and so we will do a liver flush.
Yeah.
If you get to feeling like you're sluggish, your digestion is sluggish, there's nothing wrong with just checking things out and make sure that there's no stones in that liver.
Once a year, we will do 2 or 3 liver flushes over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, just as a maintenance program to keep our liver up to par like it should be.
Okay. All right. So the liver flushing for the daily to keep your liver functioning well and prepare you for a large liver flush, which is the emergency liver flush. Then the daily, we talked about that. We already gave you the recipe for that one. So now we're going to give you the recipe for the emergency liver flush, which involves the juice from, let me start with the Epsom salts. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, don't eat after 2 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you would do 1 tablespoon of Epsom salts in a half a cup of water, in 1 cup of water. 1 cup of water. 1 tablespoon of Epsom salts in 1 cup of water. It's very salty tasting, but
something also, you want to stir that up so that when you're finished stirring, you don't see any residual grains of the salt. Let the salt dissolve completely in the water before you drink it, and it will not cause as bad of an issue. Some people get diarrhea real bad when they drink Epsom salt, and sometimes that's from not letting the salt completely dissolve in the water.
Did your dad tell you that?
My dad told me that.
Okay. All right. And so if you don't have any Epsom salts, you can use magnesium chloride as well. Magnesium chloride is also very powerful, and it is another magnesium. So that one also works really good. And so sometimes I will use that if I don't have Epsom salts.
So at 2 o'clock is your last meal. At 6 o'clock is going to be your first drink of Epsom salt water.
And 8 o'clock, another drink just like this.
Another drink just like it.
And then you only have one more drink after that. It's your favorite. That would be a combination of the juice from 1 grapefruit plus a half cup of olive oil. A half cup of olive oil. This is a cup. So you would just do 1 cup of olive oil, a half cup of olive oil with a half cup of, it will be approximately a half cup of the grapefruit. And then you mix it up really good. You might want to refrigerate it so it's has a little bit of a chill. Make it easier. And then put the juice in with it. And of course, as you know, they're going to separate. So swish it around really good just before you drink it. And then when you drink it, it won't be quite as hard. It's still not an easy drink. I mean, who wants to drink olive oil? But it's very powerful. It's what the liver needs. And then just immediately once you drink it, you go lay down in bed, lay down on your right side, and all that olive oil can go then enter into the ducts. And
so 6 o'clock is the first drink, 8 o'clock is the second drink of Epsom salt water. At 10 o'clock is going to be the drink of the olive oil and grapefruit juice, and then you're going to want to go straight to bed for the night and sleep through the process of what it's doing. Now, if your bedtime is different than 10 o'clock, then you just adjust all of those times according to what time you go to bed. So if you go to bed at 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock, then your last meal is the last time you eat anything is actually going to be 1 o'clock. And your first drink will be at 5 o'clock, second drink at 7 o'clock, and then the last drink of olive oil and grapefruit juice would be at 9 o'clock. And so whatever your bedtime is, just adjust those times so that you get the best benefit as much as possible.
Sure. That's a very good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Then again, the next morning you're back to the Epsom salts because your bile ducts are open and the stones are still coming through, and you'll do another dosage of the Epsom salts at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then ideally do it again at 8 o'clock, and then you're free to eat after that, and you will be hungry, maybe a little sick at your stomach. Each flush doesn't have the same results. Sometimes when I've done a flush, I feel terrible the next day, very sluggish with all that fat going through my system. Other times I feel very good. I feel like I have flushed a lot of poisons from my body, and I feel very good. So you'll have mixed results. You won't have the same results every single time you do a flush. But still, this is a good way to help launch your detox program forward. Now, if you haven't made any attempts at cleansing, and you're not cleansing now, you're not doing any vegetable juicing and things like that, it's going to be harder to get that liver moving. But what helps your liver also is going to be vegetable juices. If you can start a good juicing program, and we can help you with that. That's what we do, is we help people with a detox program, and we actually we'll have the link below for you to look at our detox program. But I believe that any detox program you have, it needs to address the flushing part of the liver. I think that our ancestors proved how valuable it is, and guess what? It doesn't cost very much. Nobody benefits on you doing some liver flushing. One time I felt that I had a stone stuck. I felt a little uncomfortableness after my flush. If that happens, you can turn around and just go right into the flush again and flush it completely out again. If you feel like turned out there was nothing else. It was just an uncomfortable feeling and everything was fine. But if it comes to that, this is what we are told from our ancestors, to just turn around and do another flush on the back of that one.
Now, one of the reasons we call this an emergency flush is we had a friend who called us. They were in the emergency room, and the doctor was wanting to do an emergency gallbladder removal, and he asked Linda, what should he do, and what did you recommend?
Well, actually, I'm so glad you brought that up. Actually, this gentleman had a gangrenous gallbladder. He was in his late 70s, and he said, I haven't had any surgery all my life, and I'm not going to start at 78 years old. He goes, I have an herbalist friend that I'm going to talk to. And when he told me that I was the herbalist friend, I was like, you didn't get it removed? I was very shocked. Gangrenous, I had never dealt with a gangrenous gallbladder, but he was determined to try. The pain was intense. So here's what I suggested. I suggested that he start doing some liver flushing amongst other herbal antibiotics, which anytime you have an infection, you've got to really turn up the heat. He didn't do garlic, so I recommended a poultice on his feet of garlic, garlic poultice. So I'm doing some liver flushing to get those stones out of the liver and the gallbladder, but also doing every hour, doing echinacea every single hour, and then on the fourth hour, instead of doing 1 teaspoon every hour of echinacea, we doubled it to every fourth hour doing a tablespoon of echinacea. We also were doing oregano essential oil, everything to combat that infection, and then doing a poultice on the outside of ginger and potato on the outside. And so for the first week, it was touch and go. It was just for a few nights, it was touch and go. But then as time went on, he was able to overcome it. And I saw him a few months later after that at a camp meeting we went to, and he was the picture of health, and he felt so good. That he went back to the doctor, and the doctor absolutely could not believe that he was still alive. And so that's the miracles of natural remedies. We are reminded every single day of just how good the natural remedies have been to us. My husband has dealt with his problems. I dealt with mine. I was able to overcome my heart arrhythmia and also the lump in my breast. And then also, but we've had other things. My husband had pneumonia. And so the Lord has been good to us, very faithful. And so I just recommend that we start small when it comes to the natural remedies. Just start small, start on things that you do know of. And then as you use the natural remedies, your confidence grows and you understand that worked for me, so I'm going to try this. Then as we educate ourselves on what things that you can double, triple, quadruple, echinacea happens to be one of those herbs that you can double, triple, quadruple. And there are many of them that we can turn up the heat when we need to, and we're not getting results on one level. Let's turn this up. Let's add something to that. Let's add oregano. Let's add some garlic. So garlic is, of course, broad spectrum antibiotic. It's a blood thinner. So it also lowers cholesterol. So garlic is one of my favorite things. My husband, he's not a fan of it, but that's okay. It still works. When he was sick with pneumonia, I put it on his feet. I couldn't get it through his mouth, but I could get it on his feet. So God is very gracious in his natural remedies. And so if anybody has any questions, list them below and we'll try to answer them. But liver flushing is very valuable. One last thing I want to mention is that when you do some liver flushing, it's going to be a lot more powerful and you're going to get a lot more results if you do a parasite cleanse first. And we can help you with the parasite cleanse too. But the parasite cleanse is very powerful because the intestinal fluke and the liver fluke will line the bile ducts and keep the stones from coming through. So that's one reason why the Epsom salts are powerful, because they kind of paralyze the parasites and allow the stones to come through. So doing a good liver flush is going to be very valuable. Something with fennel in it. Fennel paralyzes parasites. And so we also have a parasite cleanse. Hulda Clark had a parasite cleanse with wormwood, black walnut, and cloves. That's very powerful. If a person knows they have pain in their liver, start with a good parasite cleanse and then start doing some liver flushing, some liver cleansing, and I believe that you'll get good results. So that's all we have today, and thank you very much.